So now he's pushing this redistricting plan, this Gavin-mander.
The fact that we're even talking about redistricting on this floor today is a violation of the oath to uphold the state constitution. The fact that we're voting on a map today purportedly drawn up by the legislature, it's in violation of Article 21. You don't possess the authority to do this. The voters already decided and took you out of the process. But here we are today.
How convenient to switch your tone when you are now on the line. When we are stepping up and speaking the way Californians deserve for us to stand up and fight, because we are tired of being the punching bag of this country. When we freely give, when North Carolina is on fire, we show up. When a hurricane hits Florida, we show up. When Texas is flooding, we show up. We don't wait for Canada and Mexico to show up first like Texas did supporting Los Angeles this year. We come immediately. When we pay $80 billion more in federal taxes than we get back, we don't complain. We know our role is to support others. And when the biggest disaster to ever hit our state hits and we ask for a portion of our own dollars back and you withhold it, we have to change our tone. We have to step up because your silence is deafening.
Gavin Newsom's corrupt redistricting scheme is worse than snake oil. It's arsenic to our democracy. You stand here, he's out there pontificating that in order to save democracy, we must destroy it. In order to empower the people, we must silence them and strip power from the Citizens Redistricting Committee. No one is going to fall for this. The voters want citizens to draw the lines, not politicians. You sit here and say, let the voters decide. They have already decided in 2010 over your objection, over the political class's objection. They gathered signatures and they put an initiative on the ballot that said enough is enough, no more gerrymandering. They saw the ill that gerrymandering represents to our democracy. The maps that you're trying to impose are not competitive. And in fact, you take rural voters and you shove them in with urban voters to dilute their voice. How undemocratic. You want to talk about stripping people of their voice. I heard my colleague from Los Angeles and many of you say, we're doing this to protect health care.
30 seconds.
We're doing this because California's losing money. I wish you fought harder to solve the problems of this state as hard as you're fighting for some of these congressional districts for yourself and your colleagues. I wish you would fight to actually solve real problems happening here in California that actually matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. I rise in strong support of ACA 8. And like at least 2/3 of you in this room, I read the constitutional amendment, which makes it very clear that we are not approving any maps in this body. We are giving the voters the decision, something that isn't happening in Texas. And even doing that was something we had to debate fiercely. California's responsibility to Californians and Californians' responsibility to this country. We didn't want to be in this situation. The authoritarian in the White House put us in this situation when he used House Republicans in Texas to disenfranchise vulnerable people. After those maps in Texas are approved, a Latino voice in Texas is worth 1/3 of the representation as a white voice. A black voter in Texas is worth 1/5 of the representation of a white voter in Texas. I didn't say 3/5. There was no compromise. I said 1/5. That is the kind of gerrymandering, that is the kind of theft that they are perpetuating. And we can't just sit by and let it happen. We won't just sit by and let it happen. But that doesn't mean we lose ourselves. That's why when I was chair of the Elections Committee, I authored an update to the Fair Maps Act that prevented incumbency from being a consideration in map drawing, and every single Republican on this floor voted against it. That's why I authored legislation calling for independent redistricting commissions on school boards and counties and special districts all throughout the state, and every Republican in this House voted against it. How convenient to switch your tone when you are now on the line. When we are stepping up and speaking the way Californians deserve for us to stand up and fight, because we are tired about being the punching bag of this country when we freely give. When they took health care and food and veterans assistance and they made it harder for students to go to college and they put trillions of dollars in national debt and you said nothing. That forced us to step into the void. When they held our #1 public university hostage for $1 billion of California tax dollars and you have said nothing, we had to step into that void. You talk about fighting fire with fire and how we shouldn't do that. While simultaneously a member of your own caucus just yesterday asked the Department of Justice and Pam Biondi to investigate us criminally. I took that personally that you didn't say anything. We are not just going to sit by and let our democracy crumble. Here in California, we're standing on business. And I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Bryan. Assemblymember Gibson, you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. That was a mic drop. I wasn't going to say anything, but two of my colleagues just said something about being silent that caused me to reflect on what I said on this floor over the 11 years that I've been on this floor. And let me just say and just repeat what I said since I've been on this green carpet from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Life begins the moment you start being silent about the things that matter. In the end, you will not remember the words of your enemies, but the silence of your friends. So being on this floor today, I cannot sit by and be silent on the things that matter. This is a defining moment in history in California. So I know we referenced our governor multiple times on this floor, but I am proud of Gavin Newsom, who had the courage to stand up and be bold when a lot of governors refuse to stand up and be bold. To stand up and let California, to stand up and be bold and be courageous in this moment. Saving democracy. Understand this, that our democracy in the United States is on life support right now. And it takes courage to stand up and be counted. We are in a defining moment in America. And I am so proud to be a member of the California State Legislature right now, that no other state is standing up and being counted. When this president, I am embarrassed. I am embarrassed to even call him president. Picking on the most vulnerable people among us, sending in ICE agents to snatch our students wearing masks. That's what happened in third world countries. How can we not stand up and do what we're doing? It's about a third term, doing something that no other president dared to do. It's about taking back, it's about changing the Constitution of the United States of America. And make no mistake about it, they didn't hide what they were trying to do right now. It's about Project 2025. And it's been said time and time again. If California do not do this, we are just handing over the Constitution of the United States of America. And it started with the United States Supreme Court. It is about our human rights. So to my colleague who's not here, who talks about the phone calls that he received, and it's about him coming to this country, well, it's about the little old ladies who fought in the 60s and the 50s in order to get human rights, civil rights, women's rights, LGBTQ rights in this country, who can right now be taken away from us in this country, in the United States of America. It's about the next generation, that we may not even have any black people serving in office to have representation. It's about 10 African-American members of Congress that could be wiped away in Congress if we don't stand up and be counted. And California stands in the way of that happening. So we cannot afford not to do anything. So I'm proud of Speaker Rivas standing up and being counted and being bold. And being in this time making sure that California is counted. It's about making sure that we stand in the way of this man and his power. So yes, it's about ACA 8. It's about us walking out of this room today and holding our head up high for the next generation.
30 seconds.
We can make a difference, and we shall make a difference, making sure that we save the democracy for not only for the next generations who will sit in this seat, stand on this floor, but it's about our grandchildren and the legacy that we will leave behind. So I'm asking for the 54 courageous Democrats, because we already know what the other side won't do with a strong aye vote.